Today on the podcast, the dead return once more with Return of the Living Dead Part 2 from 1988. It's time to get radical.
Ensure all residences are secure with all doors and windows firmly locked and barricaded.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Not people. Brains.
They're us. We're them, they're us.
Oh my god. You are dead.
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
The pain of being dead.
Were you bitten? Were you bitten? Did any of the blood get in your mouth?
They have overrun us, you know. We're in the minority now. Something like 400,000 to 1 by my calculation.
My father always say, when the earth spit out the dead, they will come back to suck the blood from the living.
When there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
There's another one for the fire.
Well, it's another episode of the Radical Retro Rewind podcast. As always, I am your host, Radical Ryan Hunter, and I am joined once more by everyone's favorite brother and mine, David, for another week of the dead. Welcome back, David.
And I am your retro brother, David. You're the radical to my retro, my pork to my beans, my yin to my yang, my arm to my hammer.
Oh, I love this. So, okay, well, we're talking about zombies, but you've been fasting too, so you're doing the complete opposite of zombies. You've been, David's been fasting.
Brains. I find that my brain has been working better if I get up in the morning and not eat until around noon. You know that from various times we've spoken that Daddy David here became a little bit of a tubba over the pandemic, gained a significant amount of weight. That's the size of a medium-sized child weight. But
a lot of people did though. A lot of people did.
A lot of struggles and not getting it back off. And so I have found that I feel less bloated. I feel more energized if I don't eat breakfast and go right to like a lunch. So that's my thing. So my husband goes to me, I think you should try an intermittent fasting. And and I said to him, what do you think we're doing right now? I'm barely getting it as it is. Intermittent fasting. So Mike called it an intimate fasting. I said, yeah, I've been intermittent fasting ever since we had 4 kids.
Okay. Oh my god. See, I'm not alone with these things. Tell me that's not something I would have said.
No, that's definitely something that my husband
intimate
would say.
Fasting. People would think, I mean, David and I were talking about this. It's like, you know, if you told somebody that you didn't start with breakfast, especially back in the day, oh my god, that was it. That your day was over if you didn't start with a good healthy breakfast.
Well, that's just I don't know if I'm doing it right. I do drink a cup or two. I drink my peppermint tea. I drink peppermint tea every single day, but I also drink an iced coffee with a splash of like a cream in it, not like sugared cream, but like a half and half or something. So I know that actually starts your body metabolism working because it is a fat, but I'm still not eating anything else until then, and I just feel like it's helped the difference. I'm not as bloated. I feel like I may have lost some weight. I'm going with it. It probably saves me on money on
your intimacy.
My you know, it saves me on intimacy bills. No, intermittent. So I'm going to try it and see. My sister-in-law's boyfriend lost a ton of weight doing it. So we'll see.
Because it jumpstarts your metabolism?
I don't know what it does, but I can tell you I don't feel weighted down. I am not eating quite as much, and I sleep better. So I'm going with all of those things.
Damn. That's all things that you wanted. So amen.
So my radical ones, if you see me in a couple of months and I haven't lost any weight, then we never had this conversation. But if we did,
this will be struck from the record.
You'll have to put closed for construction on this particular podcast episode, and then we'll go from there.
It's a struggle. It's a struggle, honestly. I mean, it is. And it's been hard since the pandemic. I mean, it feels like it has been a while now, but really life has changed so drastically that things are never the same. No one's bodies will ever be the same ever again.
No.
Especially after this.
deadly experiment. A freak accident. A secret that will be carried to the grave as the horror classic is reborn. Return of the Living Dead, Part 2. Jesse will be the first to know. Billy will be the first to go.
Let's get out of here. Get to a phone.
7 of the living against an army of the dead, starved for life. Return of the Living Dead, Part 2. Just when you thought it was safe to be dead.
So, the movie, I actually am going to tell you something. I really, really, really enjoyed this movie. And I actually enjoyed it more this time around than I have. And I've seen it, I can't tell you, half a dozen times because it's part of that genre that we love. I really enjoyed it. So let's talk about it.
David, I'm so glad you said that because doing research for this movie, as I do, to try to sound like we know what the hell we're talking about in some cases, this movie is heavily criticized. I mean, people really dislike parts 3, and then, of course, as we spoke on our first round with Return of the Living Dead, of course, they did the Sci-Fi Channels 4 and 5. But part 2 gets a lot of hate. So the original script for this, I found out, was about 2/3 plagiarized from the first screenplay of Return of the Living Dead Part 1. They literally just put Part 2 on it. And I do see that there are beats that match, and we'll definitely get into it. There's like story beats that almost mimic, which I thought they were going for on purpose. But then it turned out that the writer-director was quoted as saying that he doesn't think that comedy and horror could work together, and really didn't like, even though he had done a lot of horror movies before and after this writer, he did not even like the horror genre. So it's strange how he ended up writing for this, but we'll definitely get into different things like that. But a lot of cast members expressed that they were disappointed in the lack of enthusiasm towards the project, and including Tom Matthews, who returned in this movie. He said the best thing about working on this, David, was the craft service. So that's that, but but I did enjoy it too. I should preface that with David. I really do like part 2.
I like it because I haven't laughed and chuckled. Yes, I said chuckled in a long time, and I did when I watched this movie. And there's so much I want to say, but maybe we should actually tell them the synopsis, although everyone knows it's brain-eating zombies. But go for it.
During the zombie outbreak in Louisiana that happened in our first movie, and to me, David, this is not clear based on how the last movie ended. So this is supposed to take place after the original outbreak from the first movie. So it's not really clear as they present it. We have an idea that they're taking the toxins away. But one of the barrels gets loose, falls in a river, and the driver doesn't notice it. Thus, the zombie shenanigans happen again.
So the military's had to clean this up how many times? Do you not think that you would have gotten a little more than a bungee cord sort of a thing, like a clamp cord, to like actually hold in this dangerous thing that basically could take out the whole world as we know it?
Didn't they just blow up that state, a matter of fact? I mean, if this is actually the same continuity, which it says it's supposed to be, they just blew up a whole entire area just to contain this. And yet this man is, I believe he's even smoking
dope.
I think it's pot. Yeah, he is. Okay,
well, he's smoking pot. No, he's smoking pot. I mean, it was a young guy. Like, he had headphones on. Oh my god, it's so funny to see those old headphones. Remember them with the metal thing and the little tiny. So he's listening to headphones. He's passing a joint around, and they literally hit a bump. And what is it? Trioxin.
One barrel happens to fall off.
No, 3 barrels fall off.
Oh, is it 3?
One rolls into the little reserve, the water thing there, like the creek or whatever. That's there. 3.
Which, by the way, how did that later on get above into the mountains later on, or into that cave area? That
it was like a water. It was like a water drain off. Like, it's almost like a little tiny thing. I don't know. I can deal with that. I'm not worried about that portion of it. But you would think that the military, knowing how, I guess they wouldn't be a movie, but in the scheme of things, it could have been done a different way.
Well, definitely, especially like David said, it's being held together with a bungee cord, and there's no covering on the back of this truck, and it falls down, and then again, yes, this is how we get our movie. It goes all over the place. So really, I just want to say that, like I said earlier, there are some beats that mimic the original one. Now, if this just happens because they were copying the script, like they said, the original script, but I do like that. But how do you take this, before we really get into it, David? Do you feel like this is a sequel in the same sense of it's in the same world? Or is it almost like that Dark Shadows, even as modern American Horror Story, where we have the same cast, but they're playing, well, which just happened, they're playing different characters, but it's kind of like not connected, but it is? Like, how do you take this movie based on the characters returning, actors returning?
I feel like this stands alone in one sense, but I tell you, they have two of the same main characters are the same actors and characters from a previous movie who ended up dying, being zombie or dying or both. And you have that similar setup in the sense it's these characters. There's the older man, the Pathmark man, as I call him. What's the actor's name?
Yeah.
From Poltergeist. He plays what,
James
Bill?
Karen. He plays Ed in this version.
Ed. Okay. So you have Ed, and then you have a young guy who he's working for him, but it's in a different type of thing. They're actually grave robbers. They're looking to make money off of bodies, like skulls and different things. So, but in the original, it's in the
medical supply.
Medical supply, but they use the same things. Like, he's like, you better watch your mouth if you like this job. And there's even at some point in the movie when all hell breaks loose, you have them sitting in a car, and the guy's like, I feel like we've done this before. You, me, them.
I feel so. I just got this feeling.
Yeah. Me too.
No, it's like we've been here before. It's like a dream, this whole thing. You, me, them.
And I thought that was done on purpose. The whole thing, I felt like it was done purposefully. I guess what people probably don't like about this movie is what I do like about it. I like the fact that it's a comedy. I laughed a lot, and I mean, just Ed alone, James Karen is so funny the way he acts in this movie. It's like pitiful and ridiculous that I laughed and rewound a few times just to hear some of the stupid things. I mean, I don't know how you want to do this, because I guess we're supposed to stick to a particular formula. We never do. I have little notes about all different parts of the
I mean, we'll hit, the plot is there is a kid is our main character, Jesse Wilson, who's actually has the same last name from the owner of the medical supply building, because when he ends up calling the military, they tell him to also hang on the phone Mr. Wilson, which is what they said to that gentleman when he called in the original one as well. So again, is it because the writer just reused a lot of things, or was it homage? I'm hoping it became a homage.
Hey, Mr. Wilson. And the kid does look like Dennis the Menace. He's a blonde. He's a Dennis the Menace. It's Mr. Wilson from Dennis the Menace.
Hey, Mr. Wilson!
There you go. I gotta say, these kids that were his bully, they picked the best children they could have hired. The one kid, the main bully, was born to play a bully in shows. Doesn't his face look like?
But honestly, as he's gotten
bully.
older, he became really cute and attractive. Have you seen
the bully kid?
Yeah. Have you seen him more recently?
No,
I'd hit that up. I'd hit that up.
He ain't no bully no more. But it's these kids, they lock our main character up, Jesse, in a mausoleum.
They are initiating him, quote unquote, into their group, but it's more like a bullying session where he gives them a comic book, which must be a collector's comic to kind of make them happy, to appease them. They take him to the cemetery. They're about to lock him in, lock him up or something?
Yeah, they lock him in a mausoleum to die, basically.
But before that, they discover the container with the human remains. I found like Nancy Grace. The human remains. Is that what she does? I don't really watch her show.
She does.
Now, human remains have been found in a remote cemetery, an overgrown graveyard.
The Top Mom. I remember that from...
Yeah, and this is the Tar Man. The Tar Man.
So I remember they find the body. They don't want to call the police. I mean the military, which is funny because the little kid
Jesse, our main character.
Jesse, the blonde, Jesse is like, we need to call the army. This is not a joke at this point. And so they lock him in the mausoleum. Okay, so you get Ed and Joey with his girlfriend going. To the...
Can we just talk about the girlfriend for 1 second? I call her bottom basement Tiffany. She is dressed like the Tiffany I Think We're Alone Now cover. I'm sorry. And she is the most annoying character in this movie. But I digress.
But I find it funny. I find it funny. I just think the whole thing is hysterical. So they lock him in. He's trying to get out. He opens up a vault, which is rotted out. He falls through with a dead body. That was actually really good.
Oh my God.
I think the set was really good too.
That is traumatic, and that is really like falling. By the way, so smart to climb up those vaults in the wall.
He says to himself, "It's okay, it's just a little decayed matter." And then the skull tips over because it just falls, and he's like, "Ah, oh shit!" He goes, "Oh shit," which is funny.
So yeah, they're going for. Do you get like a Lost Boys, maybe the Goonies,
yeah,
like that idea of these geeky kids that have the knowledge? Almost again, Tommy Jarvis in Friday the 13th, who was played by Tom Matthews at one point, the older Tommy in one of the sequels, but even Monster Squad. So do you think they were really going for more child-friendly comedy with this one? Because I do say it's less brutal than the original one. The original one could be very serious, as funny as it is. This one is almost more lighthearted.
Well, it clearly is a horror comedy. I mean, it really is. I mean, there's too many things in it that if you know the genre and honestly, even the prosthetics and all the stuff they did on the zombies, they were overly dramatically done. Like there was some gross things, but they were so over dramatically done. They didn't even look like real humans that had decayed. Does that make sense?
Yes. They were more like rubbery look. Yeah, monster-esque, if you will. What do you think about also having these two characters back in this similar role? I think it is genius in one way.
I loved it.
But wouldn't you have liked them to have maybe survived this time around, or something to maybe switch? This is their lot.
They're in a time loop. They're like in a time loop, or they're in a paradox. Maybe that's what it. Maybe this is a parallel universe and it's happening all at the same time.
Well, that's all the rage now, right? Multiverses. So yeah, this is the Return of the Living Dead multiverse.
Maybe we're not alone. I think we're alone now.
It sets up that this kid was in the cemetery. He has a sister who's watching him. Typical 80s sister. She's watching 80s workout videos. She is a total
bitch. Excuse me? I wrote that down. Sister is a bitch.
Does she? But did you not love how she tied the doorknob together with that bungee cord?
I put that too. So at some point in the movie, she's trying to control her brother because he just had a traumatic experience. So this is after the fact that he sees zombies coming up alive. And she throws him in his room, and she takes a jump rope and ties it from the doorknob to the banister. And I'm like, I put total child abuse. That would be, if someone saw that would be like she'd be up on child abuse charge. And I'm not even kidding, because obviously my children are adopted, so I know I had to go through all these classes. So yeah.
What do you think about that? Not only that, I thought that was actually genius, though, that worked. But also when he lights something on fire to make it look like the room is on fire, that was smart as well.
So let's jump back. So the two bullies accidentally release the gas. That starts the process of going to the cemetery. They both get hit with the gas and become ill. Now, I guess you would say our heroine of the story, little blonde boy, he goes to find the number on the canister so he can call the military. The zombies start coming alive. The sludge zombie starts coming after him that broke out of the actual Trioxin canister.
And David, was decked out in his COVID best. This kid already... He had gloves, he had his hair covered, and he had a mask on.
And goggles and everything. He was ready. He was like, I am not going to breathe in this stuff, because he knew those kids had breathed in the stuff and they were getting sick.
So smart.
So he's a good kid.
And by the way, Tarman, that was the same actor who played Tarman in the original one as well. didn't like the makeup as much this time around on his
Well,
look.
that's what I was saying about like the aspect of it. Like the prosthetics and the stuff it didn't appeal to me at all. But I like the movie because of the comedy aspect of it. So he goes, he gets locked in, he ends up calling the military, but at the same time you have our trio, you have Ed, who is hysterical because as soon as the zombies start coming to life in the cemetery and they're running away, you have the girlfriend. What's her name? Deb? No, I'm calling her Deb. Debbie
Her
Gibson.
name is Brenda, but she might as well be Deb.
So you have Brenda going into the cemetery to find Joey and Ed. She's running around. Zombies are coming. She punches the zombie in the face and like green goo comes out. So it's totally. It looks like Toxic Avengers ridiculousness. So
yes.
We gotta get Brenda, man. She's all.
Brenda, what about me? You selfish jerk! Oh, I am, oh Lord! Forgive me! They're dead! I thought you were finished with them!
I got a feeling he's not listening right now. We gotta handle this thing. Whatever it is. But first we gotta get Brenda. Come on.
No, not that! The road! Yes, let's go!
Are you okay? Are you okay?
I'm okay. Joey, what did you do?
He didn't do anything! It's me they're after! It's my sins! Hail Mary, full of grace! Full of grace! No. Oh, the Lord is with me! Oh, save this sinner, please!
Max over there!
You like her gumption, though, that she went right for the punch. I will give her that. She goes right for the punch then, and then later on rips a jaw off a zombie. So I will give her, she ain't one to just stop and let someone do something to her. So I'll give her to that.
So you have this thing where Ed and Joey come out of the mausoleum where they're trying to harvest body parts and steal jewelry off of dead bodies. And Ed immediately starts freaking out. Oh God. He says, God, he kneels down and says something to the effect of, God, they're dead. I thought you were finished with them.
That was so funny.
And then you have this, which I only could describe as a Scooby-Doo running around back and forth, passing each other as you're running away from zombies. This whole group.
Spins, David. He spins with the bag.
He spins the bag that he has the head of the woman he's going to sell, this skeleton to the highest bidder or whatever, swinging it around like he's going to knock all the zombies over. So you have this Scooby-Doo running around, and then you have them running, not going back to the van, which would have been smart since she has the keys and everything. You had them running into the nearest community near the graveyard, which happens to be
this new development too, which is up and coming.
Was that done in California? Because it looks very like Arizona and California. The architecture, I see some foothills.
It did look like that.
Foothills and stuff like that. But anyway, so you have them running at the same time. The bitchy sister, what's her name now? Because I call her bitchy sister.
Her name is Lucy Wilson.
Okay, so at the meantime, a young man from the cable company opens Tom, which is a cutie. He's a cutie. He comes in and he sees Lucy and realizes that he just graduated. He became like a cable installer, and she was a total Bia to him. He's like, do you remember me? I was on this thing. I did this. She's like, no, the cable's over here. You're late.
But the brother, David, even in the closet, he winces when he says, I wrote this down. He says, I was on the swimming team, if you remember. And even the brother's just like, oh.
Don't use that.
Little brother's listening.
Don't use that line on my sister. She ain't gonna have it.
Hi, I'm with Cable TV. I have an installation order here.
Yeah, you were supposed to be here like 3 hours ago.
Yeah, fine. This is all really new around here. I got sort of lost. Wait a minute. Aren't you, don't you go to Central?
So, big deal.
Yeah, I went there, you know. I graduated last year. Maybe you remember me. Tom Essex? Student council, swim team, almost.
No, I don't remember you. TV's in here.
Funny. So you have the trio running, and they end up stealing the cable van.
The trio, though, by the way, did you notice they became more of their original characters from the first one after the zombies? They were almost a little more straight-laced until the zombies came, and that's when Ed went full on Frank from part one.
Yeah, it was Frank.
I just want to say, though, David, he offers Tom Matthews' character of Joey to stay along a bracelet for his girlfriend. And I'm like, really? She wants this coffin jewelry, I'm sure, from the 18th century. Something to look for the girlfriends. Ooh.
There's just funny parts. He's like, Ed, is there something I should know? Because the bodies start coming alive. It's like, what? Like what? And then Brenda blames them for, what did you do, Joey? What did you do, Ed? Like, she's blaming them for the bodies coming. What did you do? So they end up stealing the guy's truck and smashing it and hitting somebody. Then Brenda's like, you just made Joey kill somebody, you schmuck.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Look what you made him do! Now he's killed someone! And it's all your fault! You schmuck!
I know!
Stop it! Stop it!
Oh, dear Lord, no.
Yeah,
She hits Ed but he's already dead. So then the neighbor comes out and he's like, you just hit somebody, blah, blah, blah. Stay here. Oh no, not
this
the
is
neighbor.
the father
guy.
this is the father and the mother of the childhood bully is also in this community.
What only can be described as these trio running to different houses, different places. They're like, you got to get inside, get your kids' family out of here, man. And they like screaming and yelling. And then the guy stops them. He says, you better stay here. The cable guy. Tom says, you need to stay here. You stole my truck. And they hear the zombie. He goes to go make a phone call to call the police. And you hear the moaning in the background. They're like, stay here. And they run. And then they run into the house. They push the sister who's arguing with the little brother to get back in the house. You got to help us. You got to help us. They shut the door. They're like, they're dead. Dead, dead, dead. Dead, 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 dead. And the brother's like feels validated. The little brother's like, I told you, basically.
Again, he really steals the show, James Cameron. His character, yeah, I agree. He could just make me laugh, just anything he says. Anything he says in this dramatic, oh God, kind of a way.
And Joey's like, no more praying.
Oh, because he keeps throwing himself down and starts praying the Hail Mary when something happens. But just to go back really quickly, when the zombies come out of their grave, there are, David, first off, the zombie woman with the glasses. I think that is really funny. She puts the glasses on so she could see again. She's like almost like a librarian-esque 50s
Wasn't she wearing like a poodle skirt? Who was wearing a poodle skirt?
It was very 50. I think she was, because she had 50s-esque glasses. But also, David, that one that falls in the hole, but the zombies whose hand keeps getting stepped on is my favorite.
There's the comedy. One other thing that I would add to this is different than the other movies. You did not get anyone that just got bit on the arm who became a zombie. You have your zombies. Any zombie that was exposed to trioxin, the human beings that were exposed, like Ed and Joey inside the mausoleum because the gas came in there at some point, and the boys that got hit with it, and the dead bodies and that thing. Nobody else gets turned. They usually just bite them on the head. They eat the brain, and the person dies. Nobody gets up and starts walking again. None.
Okay, but when Ed gets his finger bit or snapped down from the head zombie, did he get even more infected then, or is it just he was already infected by the gas?
They were breathing the gases, and they were coughing and saying that they weren't feeling well already. No.
Because Brenda, every time she either, like when we talked about earlier, when she punched that goo zombie or when she even took the jaw off one zombie, I did think every time, I'm like, damn, shouldn't she have been infected at this point? But yeah, it's all about the gas. Here comes the rain again, the toxic rain.
Oh, the Eurythmics. Here comes the rain again.
Do you think, though, the score is less rocky this time around? I will give it that. Their first movie had a really killer score. And it was more of a punk, like rock, kind of esque.
I put upbeat music. There was upbeat music here. Just like not...
In this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. 80s-esque.
And oh my God, so the funny part, again, I'm going to jump around. When they went to steal the Tom's van, the zombies are coming and they go up to the van. Brenda's like, oh, that's stealing. And then they hear, oh, and she goes, oh, and that's okay. It's just like a comedy. It's so stupid.
And then while we're in there, the screwdriver scene is, of course, a favorite always. With the head that Ed had in his bag comes alive in that house, and that's when our Tom has to he puts a screwdriver through this head, and that's when it talks in that southern accent, though.
Get that damn screwdriver out of my head!
Get that damn screwdriver out of my head!
So again, these zombies are not your typical, not only does nothing kill them really, well, actually in this one, electricity kind of stops them.
It kills them, it shocks them to death, but nothing, fire, bullets, hitting them in the head, nothing has gotten, that's the other part of the interesting part about it, is that the other zombies, headshots have always been work. I don't feel like the headshots, he hit the thing with a crowbar and smacked its head open, it didn't do anything.
That one was great in the, because that corpse that comes alive too, that first one in that mausoleum, he even looks at his finger that was removed with the ring on it. So these zombies
he looks
are
like
really
the thing, like
smart.
the shrunken head from Beetlejuice.
Yes,
He kind of looks like the shrunken head from Beetlejuice.
1000%. And what do you think about this idea of going to, there's a doctor 2 doors down, very similar to Ernie from the original movie, which...
He has a car.
And has a car, exactly. And originally, this actor auditioned to play this character from our original one, but was turned down. Wouldn't this have been amazing to have him back in this role as well? But I gotta say, the gentleman that plays Doc Mandel, Phil Burns, gives one of those performances. He gives an Ed-esque performance. Would you have rather the original actor to play a similar role who auditioned for it, or Phil Burns actually does play a really fun, almost in the same vein as James Karen and Ed and all these characters?
I think that the other actor and it might have been Ernie. It was either Brett or Ernie, which is so funny, like the Sesame Street characters. His role was, to me, I enjoyed them separately because the role that he played, the other actor played in that movie, was a more serious role.
Yeah,
the zombies were much more serious. The situation, obviously, any zombies are serious, but these zombies seem to be so comical that Doc Mandel basically is a drunk, an older, probably semi-retired, if not retired doctor who's a drunk, who just fits perfectly in the fold because this is a comedy.
When he takes their tongue out with the tongue depressor.
Yeah, that's a whole nother. So some meaningful parts that I thought, some things that I thought were funny. When they're running to Doc Mandel's house, the sister kind of gets frozen with fear in the bushes, and the brother goes, "You want to die?" This is how it goes. "You want to die? They seem to like brains, so maybe they'll leave you alone." This whole time, there's having sibling rivalry. And even Tom says, "Will you guys just cut it out already? This is a serious matter. We're going to die." And you guys are arguing about, well, mom and this and that. Especially the sister. Lucy seemed to come off very... I mean, I liked much towards the end. She grew on me, and she opened up and changed a little, but she was kind of a Bia the whole time in the beginning. Listen, I don't know about you. I'm not a woman. I haven't had men hit on me like a woman has straight men hit on them, but the guy was like a cute guy that went to school with her, and she was a total Bia. There's no reason. Ladies, there's no reason to be
he was sweet.
A Bia to men. If you like them, that just...
Well, did she, or did she just kind of, because even their kiss was a little at the end, kind of was just like, it's, to me it seemed like she was just thinking, oh, if this is the end of the world, well, at least I got this one lined up, because I didn't get their chemistry.
Yeah, well, that was because they were about to die. The other thing is when they break in, they knock on Doc Mandel's garage door. Inside is like the garage door to your inside.
Yes, inside is actual,
Tell him he needs keys. They're like, Doc Mandel, we need keys, blah, blah, blah. They're dead. This is, the whole should be thing. And he goes, and the Doc Mandel goes to him, he goes, "Oh, it's you. Why aren't you playing in traffic?"
"Oh, it's you. Why aren't you out playing in the traffic? How'd you get in here? What seems to be the problem?"
"Where are the keys to your car?"
"Why, are we going somewhere?" "There seem to be hooligans terrorizing the neighborhood."
No, it's the dead. They've come back to life."
"The dead? Dead what?"
"People, we need your car."
Why aren't you playing in traffic?
I was like, they made it out like this kid was such a menace, going back to Dennis the Menace, but he was the calmest out of everyone. He just wanted to stay home. Matter of fact, with the bullies earlier, he's just like, "Oh, that's all right. You could have it. I'll just go home. Like, I don't want to see your clubhouse. I just want to be left alone," kind of thing. But that was hysterical. But I will say everyone kind of like just goes along with it very quickly, thankfully. Although at that point, the zombies are breaking into his garage. So
oh, and that's another thing. So
car.
Doc Mandel's like, nobody else drives my car but me. Tom pushes him over. He sees them breaking through the window of the side door to get into his actual garage, and he sees a guy, and he's like, who are you? Harvey, it's me. Oh my God, Harvey. He goes,
he didn't know, like he didn't want to cause his death, basically.
I didn't. It wasn't my fault, Harvey. We ran into type O.
Oh my God! It's Harvey Kramer. Harvey, it's me. Remember me? Harvey, it wasn't my fault. We ran out of type O.
Cherry, huh?
Well, almost cherry.
So he sees a dead patient come back to life.
And he seems to be rather combative. So they break through the garage door. The doctor is flipped out because they're scratching and destroying his classic car.
It is a beautiful car. If you're into
and then
cars.
There's a zombie. I love that. The tail fins and everything on an old car. And cherry red, which was really nice. Cloth
Ed
top.
is in the back seat with Brenda and Joey. They're still screaming in the back seat.
And our little Dennis the Menace. And you see there's a zombie on the roof. Well, now at this point, Ed and Joey are starting to show major signs of being ill because
they get rigor mortis again.
They're starting to get sick, and they want to take the doctors. They're going to take him to a hospital. So Ed goes out to put his head out the window to throw up. He says, "He's not throwing up in this car. He's not throwing up." The Doc Mandel. There's a zombie on the car. They cut his hand off by the wrist
with the glass. By the way, would that actually happen? I guess if you're like a delicate
decomposed,
zombie,
decomposed. So the hand is crawling all over, and they're throwing it and screaming it, and then it lands on Doc Mandel's crotch and squeezes his little testes and pee-pee. And that was the comedy relief. Then they throw the hand out, and it gives them the finger. So again, this is part of that comedy aspect of it. So they go to a hospital, and the doctor does an exam on them, right? So the best part is...
last time you had a bowel movement.
He's like, so when was the last time you had a bowel movement? So then Brenda goes... After he's examining him, he makes Joey put his tongue out with the tongue braid. He goes, oh, he pushes the tongue back in and slaps his mouth. And Brenda's like, is it cancer? And he goes, if we're lucky.
And then Joey goes, cancer!
What is it? What's wrong?
Is he gonna be okay?
Let's look at the tongue, all right? Oh my God.
What is it?
We're going to do a biopsy.
Is it cancer?
If we're lucky.
He's like, rigor mortis is setting in. So he goes, there's no pupil dilation. There's no temperature. There's no heartbeat. Would you like to check it yourself? He tells Brenda, because Brenda's pissed at the doctor now. You're not a real doctor. You suck, and this and that. And he's like, how can he be dead? He's talking. He's like, oh, we'll have to do a biopsy.
Did you notice, too, that Ed says he's going to be cremated? Was that homage to the original?
Yes. He goes, yeah, he did say that. And then Joey says, because you don't want some creepy old dude cutting you, robbing your grave like you're doing. And that's when he goes, you better keep your mouth shut if you want to keep this job. Or whatever, so.
Mimicking again, mimicking the original one. This is when I will say, David, I enjoy the first half of this movie so much more than the last half, kinda. Not that it's bad, it's just not as good as the first half for me. Okay, so back to the zombies. That bully kid makes his way all the way to where our heroes end up. And this kid is, he retains all of his function, really. He's thinking, he knows what's going on.
He was not originally dead. He was dosed with the Trioxin. He was not
brought back to the dead.
Body wasn't degraded the way other bodies have been.
So is that what it is? Is that why Joey also retains his thing when he's able to run after Brenda at that point and function and speak?
I think eventually he'll slow down and he'll become more like them. But the whole thing about this thing is that he's also driven by hate. This little evil bully hates the kid because he told, now you die. What about the fact that how they find out how to kill them? That Tom is so disturbed by the fact that they're attacking animals in a pet shop that he slams. Because he was running after a little dog, so he hits the zombie. The zombie hits an electrical sign, and there's water in it. And then they realize this is how they can kill zombies.
Brenda, at one point, Ed and Joey gets to the National Guard and they turn them away. They're not allowed to leave. So the guards are closing down the city because they know this is spreading again. So they're not able to leave.
No, they would shoot at them, kill them. And so here's the best part. Like, so then you have all these little sub things going on. So you have Brenda, Joey, and Ed steal the car and leave the doctor and the other members of our cast here stuck at the hospital. They end up going into an ambulance. They go to the Lucy's grandparents' house and they get guns. And there's another funny part when Lucy's like, what does she say? They're gross, they're this, and they're not touching me.
Yeah, yeah, I did like that line.
You do know how to pull a trigger, don't you?
Sure. Do you?
She's junior class champion for the whole state. Look, those things out there, they're ugly, and they're dirty, and they're dumb. And I don't even care if they are dead. I hate them. There's no way they're touching me.
And she seemed to know her way around a firearm, which was good.
The kid said, the brother then goes to Tom because he's like, you know how to shoot a gun? You know, trying to be macho in his own like ridiculous macho way. And he's like, she's like the state champion.
I like
which
that.
Totally gave me vibes from Night of the Comet.
I agree. And I was getting Hector vibes from this gentleman too, because he was this really nice guy who the lead was kind of flirtatiously bantering with. So yes, I agree. But Brenda also leaves Ed just out there and he starts to eat people.
They come across two military people. He ends up, the zombies are coming. He ends up eating one of the military guys. And she's like, Ed, take it easy, Ed. I'll be back for you, Ed.
Yeah, bye. But they end up at a church. Now, this is, again, very similar to the original chapel in Return of the Living Dead. Now, again, is it homage, or did it just turn out to be that way? But Brenda runs from a now
fully
spicy,
zombified.
Craven.
Joey, and he starts yelling, no, Brenda, don't let them have your brain. I'm the one that you love. Brenda.
I mean, she runs in there, but she lets him do it, David.
She's like, ew, I'm not into dead guys.
Brenda, let me have them. I'm the one who loves you. Brenda!
Me.
Oh, Brenda, your brain smells so good, so rich and spicy.
Spicy?
Yeah.
Joey, I am not into dead guys.
Honey, it's only me.
Okay. Take me, baby.
He's like, your brain, it smells so good, so spicy. And she's like, spicy? And she basically says, well, you can take a little bit. Or whatever, and so he bites her. He's like, don't worry, it's just me, baby.
Oh, between that and the mother that gets bitten on the skull too, it's horrifying because it doesn't line up with Brenda. You'll notice you don't hear her screams on the screen, but afterwards it kind of pans out and you hear her going, ah. So there she goes. Fleeing in a stolen ambulance, the survivors come back to a roadblock and the National Guard mistakenly opens fires on them, thinking they are zombies, realizing that the whole town had been evacuated. When did they evacuate all these people?
And when did the grandparents not call Lucy on the phone?
Exactly. I thought the same thing. I've said the grandparents, okay, they're dead, but no, there's
no
what
though, that
town.
community there is supposed to be so far outside of town where that old cemetery is.
Oh, so the time they got there, everyone was already
shuffled out. It was like they were evacuating the main city and the town or whatever, and they were far out. Like that was a new development that was far away from other communities, I guess. And that's where the cemetery was, so that's where the zombies come. So they were trying to cut off.
Yes. I wish it was a similar cemetery to the original one, but this actually does give you nice ambiance. I will say that there's a part with the sky looks really like a dusk set. Really cool scenery, I will say. So Tom thinks of a new strategy to give the zombies what they want. He drives them to a meat packing plant. They take a truck and distribute brains out of the back as they drive to a power plant, intending to electrocute them all. Billy opens the gate and zombies corner them into the truck. Jesse is attacked by Billy and stabs him with a screwdriver and activates the power, killing all the zombies. Billy walks in holding the screwdriver, and Jesse pushes his tormentor into a large transformer that falls through the roof. Glover and his men arrive to contain the scene and lead the others away. So we do get a lot of people's famous, for them, scene is the Michael Jackson Thriller zombie in this electrocution scene. The scene that everyone remembers.
Because I guess it's the biggest thing from that time frame. Michael Jackson's Thriller, plus the ghosts, and the whole thing with the song Thriller with Vincent Price, which we know that I happen to like.
Yes, that you have done on this very show.
Yes, I have. The other thing which was funny is Doc Mandel's like, fresh brains, get them while they're, whatever, cold, get them, eat them, oh, brains. And he's like, keep them coming, kid.
I do like this character, and I do like that he survives. They get away. So this foursome actually survives this movie. So again, this is less of a horrific movie than the original one, because you have people surviving. Like David said, it's more comical. Even the makeup maybe isn't as horrific. The sad part is they did get a bigger budget with this movie, so...
The other thing I wanted to say is, now this is a good question. Do you think the fact that when Billy, was it Billy? Who's the kid?
Yeah, Billy,
blonde?
The bully. Oh,
No,
Jesse.
So the point that Jesse calls the military, he gets cut off. Did that or did not save them from being blown up through another rocket? Because they did not know where he was.
Oh my god, that is so smart. Yes, I think so. Because we know that the military is waiting for this to happen.
So they were, instead of blowing them up with a nuke or some kind of a bomb, our last survivors were able to electrocute them. And then at the very end, you see Miss Head, the Southern Head lady. And
They got there somehow, but okay.
Okay, fellas, don't hit a girl when she's down. Oh, and he burns her, and then she goes, no brains.
I like that she ended up there in that scene. So I really like this positive take on this movie, because it does evidently get a lot of dislike online. I was surprised, honestly, because I know about part 3.
Most people want a zombie movie to end tragically, it seems like. I'm happy you and I have seen, between the both of us, dozens upon dozens upon dozens upon dozens of zombie movies. It's nice to see something like Warm Bodies, where he actually...
Yes.
Even though it's ridiculously, like, you talk about the whole possibility of people becoming zombies, them reverting back and regenerating their bodies again is even more far-fetched, I guess. But yeah, I don't know, it gives me joy. I like the fact that it was a comedy. I like the fact that the zombies weren't super powerful, cold blood killing machines like the Uber zombies, and so I enjoyed it. I don't care what anybody says.
Even that scene with Doc when he asked who's the president was, because he was thinking that was a zombie. I think he said it's Truman too. He said, Truman.
Hello? Hello? Can you tell us where to go?
Come to the hospital.
Show me right there!
Hold it. Pardon me, but could you tell me who the President of the United States is?
Harry Truman.
Who's Harry Truman?
But here's the thing. That also was in the other movie where the guy said, send more paramedics.
Yep.
The zombies.
Yep.
So all in all, I thought this was a really fun movie. I would watch it again. In fact, I will watch it again.
Yeah, part 2, I do still enjoy it. I will, like, again, I said the only fault I'll have with it is the ending. Maybe I would want it to be a little more exciting, but you know what? The heroes didn't die, like David said, so I am okay with that. I do want people to survive. Someone's got to survive.
Do you think Lucy and Tom ended up together?
I think, like I was saying earlier, only by association, because if she thought that this was going to be the end, this is the last man on Earth that might want to be with me.
She told him, I lied, I do remember you, or I did remember you.
I think she did too. But yeah, she just was playing that role of, I'm the older sister, like this tough older sister kind of, just to be an antagonist to the brother, basically, in a way.
Oh, whatever it was, Tom, you should have called me.
Oh, you could have did my cable.
And you could have brought Joey over too with you before he became a zombie. He was kind of cute.
And you know what? He even had that red on again that mimicked his red in the original movie as well. So there's a lot of callback. I like doing sequels and getting to compare movies like this. So now that we've done part 1 and part 2 of Return of the Living Dead, maybe one day we'll get to part 3. That's definitely another take on everything.
Would you say that's when it really jumps the shark?
I think that's when they really thought they were going to make some kind of Romero Day of the Dead kind of movie by then, but it should have stuck with the comedy, honestly, because that's what it was supposed to be, I think. That movie's dead serious.
Other than the Trioxin and stuff, all the movies could have really can stand alone.
Stood alone. Yeah,
they don't
stand
alone.
alone.
They don't have to be part of anything. Horror movie fans are a very funny group of people sometimes, because sometimes they really, really want this super continuity, and they'll nitpick every little detail, which we've done ourselves.
Yeah,
or
definitely.
They're like, why did you bother doing that? Like, even in the beginning of this movie, there's a voiceover that's like, in 1970 or 50, whatever it says, there was an experiment by the U.S. government. That basically explains the whole thing. You don't need to know about the previous one.
No, not at all. That's right. If you didn't see the original one, you don't really need to. It's a zombie movie, and it does start beginning from the beginning again. So, well, Radical Ones, another week, another zombie movie down as we continue the summer of the dead.
Y'all come back now, you hear? Y'all come back now. No more brains for now.
So please don't put a screwdriver in our head until the end of the summer, because you could always reach David at Universal Appeal 2020, all one word, and the Radical Retro Rewind podcast, all one word, both on Instagram. We're also on YouTube, and if you'd like to leave us a comment, a review, or just say hello, we would love to hear from you. There is a voicemail feature on Anchor FM. And you can always leave a review where we will speak your name, we will thank you, we'll make a post, and we'll read your review on the episode. Thank you again for joining us. David, of course, will be back for more zombie action as the weeks come. And so parting advice for everyone, David?
When it comes to zombies, I don't know. I'd have to say is everything's a weapon. Remember, everything's a weapon, people. And if they're turning green, they're gonna get mean.
Yeah.
Walk away.
Lock your younger brother up with a jump rope in their room.
And when it comes to The Walking Dead, love ain't got nothing to do with it, girl. Keep your brain for another man.
Tina. Oh, not even Tina. Brenda. Bye-bye.
Building up appetite. Tonight. I feel we gotta run. Gotta Evil smiles on graveyard faces, all dressed to kill. They got no mercy, no limitations in finding a perfect thrill. It looks like they